Hello, this is David Aiken, your conversion rate optimization specialist. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to review your product page as well as your checkout process. I really appreciate it. What we're going to do is go through each of the pages and I will detail the changes that you should make on each one. Please don't worry about trying to keep up and take notes. As you may have noticed, I have included a bullet pointed document that's really meant to serve as a checklist and guide to this presentation. This video is meant to go into more detail, providing you examples and giving you a better idea of what your product page or landing page should look like if we're sending traffic directly to this page, which is why I assume you're asking me to review the product page and not your home page or a landing page. So let's go ahead and get started with this initial screen that they see. On a home page, this would be called a hero shot. So we're going to refer to it as the same thing because we're sending traffic directly to it. The problem we have is we're sending them directly to a product row. That's what you see here with the image, your pricing, your add to cart. Excuse the analogy, it's the best one I can think of. This is like asking your date to go home for you before you even with you before you even ask them to go on a date, right? That ad they saw on your social media was like a hey, how are you? And then all of a sudden we're saying commit to buy. It's too dramatic. We've got to give them some more information to make decisions by first. So we're going to move this row down the page and replace it with what's called a traditional hero shot. Um, Let me just find this image here. Okay. This is what a traditional hero shot should look like. Now, it's going to be okay that we have our product over here and a pink background over here. Any good designer, sorry, since my last stroke, I'm half blind in one eye and blind in the other. So sometimes I have to poke around. Put your product over here, pull the pink all the way across. Any good designer should be able to add this pink to be full width. Okay. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to add some content. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about how people interact with your page when they first land on it and why that's important. Okay. There are really two ways that people are going to look at your hero shot. Remember, this main page people see without looking in any images. They're called the F and the Z pattern, and they're largely based on the letters of the English alphabet. In fact, they're entirely based on the letters of the English alphabet, and they have to do with your age. If you're older like me, I'm nearly 50 now. You were raised actually holding your media. So we held magazines, newspapers, letters, and we learn to read line by line. So we start here in the upper left-hand corner. We go across the top. We come down to the next level, across and down. Um, Younger generation, so the millennial generation and below, they were raised with the web being their main source of media. So they're used to these large blocks of content. So they go across the top, down at an angle, and back across the bottom. The reason I'm taking the time to share this with you is because it's important to understand the use of the top bar and why it works. Okay, by placing your logo here, negative space between your logo and your navigation, you can actually pull their attention up, get them to read a message, and come back down before they interact with the main body of your page, which is beneficial. We've got to get key thoughts in our visitors' minds as quickly and easily as possible. So that as they go through the journey of the homepage, one is building on the other. Okay. Now, there's a mistake being made here, and that is in offering free shipping as our offer. Okay. Ever since Amazon released their Prime program, um, free shipping has become a requirement. If not, your visitors are going to go find a similar product or even sometimes a dissimilar product on Amazon because they're that adverse to paying for shipping. So it goes from what used to be considered an offer that if you buy from me, I'll give you free shipping. That's an incentive to now a required benefit or an expected benefit. If you don't offer it, you're likely or more likely than not going to lose that sell. And we don't want to see that happen. Okay. So to get that top bar interaction, move your logo over to the left, keep your navigation over to the right, and create that negative space. Add a bright colored top bar. If we're not going to talk about free shipping there, what are we going to talk about? Well, a good offer has three components: as a reason, a compelling incentive, and an expiration date. The expiration date both validates the offer and creates urgency. Okay. So I'm going to give you content ideas all throughout this presentation, but please understand I am not a content writer. So change them up as you feel as see fit. Scroll down there. But I would say something like show off spectacular eyelashes this spring. First time buyers save 10% through May 28th or whatever date you set it to. Okay. Um, so they know that they're going to look great. It's a spring sale. They're a first time buyer as a reason, and they're going to save X% through this date. Okay. Move our image of our product. Um, and I'd rather see this be a lifestyle shot than just a product shot. Um, a lifestyle shot is going to be more of somebody utilizing the product or somebody looking great with the product. Um, but if what we have is a product shot, basically a lifestyle shot would have a beautiful woman with beautiful eyelashes in the background and interacting with your product. But if we can't pull that together, our product shot will do. Move it over here. We're going to utilize a super headline, a headline, a sub headline, a call to action button, and some credibility builders to emphasize our next points. And let me just see if I have an example of that. Okay. So here's a super headline. It's little bursts of information divided by pipes. That's what these little lines are called. This is the first thing your visitor is going to read. So again, I'm not a content writer, but I'd recommend something like guaranteed strong lashes, up to 48-hour hold, um, and on the go convenience. Okay. We're wanting to hit them with the main benefits of utilizing our product right out of the gate. Then in our headline, that's the larger font. We're going to say something like beautiful, strong, curly lashes dash lasts up to 48 hours. Okay. Then our subheadline, something like make everyone jealous with your new beautiful lashes for only $39.95. Let's get that price point out of the way so they're not wondering if they can afford it. Okay. That's your hero shot. Then right across the bottom, we're going to want to add some credibility builders that look like this. It's an icon and a short description. Okay. There's a hierarchy in how well people read information online. The number one most read content is an icon and short description. I'll explain why in a minute. The second most likely to be read is a headline plus bullet points. The least likely to be read is sentences or paragraph text. This was all discovered a long time ago. I'm sorry, one moment. Excuse me for that. By a long time ago by traditional media. So we're talking early magazines and newspapers. Um, if you were to pick up an early edition of a magazine and open up to an article, you'd have a much different experience than what you see today. Early publishers felt like that their subscribers were paying to read their content. So they were stuffing every single word on a page that they possibly could. Um, and they were selling magazines. The problem they had is people weren't reading that content. They would subscribe, neglect to read it, lose value in the magazine, and cancel, which is called churn rate. So they'd sell magazines, they were suffering from a high churn or cancellation rate, and they were in trouble. So they all met and they came up with some ideas for experiments. By the way, today experiments are called split testing, A/B testing, or multivariate testing, depending on what school you came up in. Okay. The idea is very simple, though. They decided, by the way, this is real experiments, fake numbers. They decided to send out 1,000 magazines in their current format. So remember, just this paragraph text to their subscribers. They sent out 1,000 magazines to a different set of subscribers with an experiment, which was paragraph text plus a relevant image. They then polled their customers, and what they learned is those customers that received the version with the image had a much higher read rate, or they were much more likely to have read that content than those that did not get the image. And it makes sense because as people, we are drawn to images immediately. We look at them the very first thing, and we absorb content, or we absorb the meaning of those images instantly, where reading text is laborious and unpredictable in the image that your reader is going to create in their mind. Okay. So what would happen is people would open up to the article, they'd see the picture. That picture would drive more interest in reading the written text. Reading the written text increased the value of the magazine and thus reduced churn or cancellation rate and helped keep magazines in business. So pretty soon everybody's doing this. All the competitor magazines, newspaper, anybody providing something in print is including a picture. And even today, if you go to a website, or if you open up an article in a magazine, I bet you're going to see a picture there. I'm also willing to bet you're going to you're going to look at that image before you read the article. It's just how we're wired as people. So we get down the road a little bit, and they decide to run another experiment, which this time is their new format, which is picture and paragraph text versus picture plus paragraph text plus a caption on the picture. Now, this is before a caption became photographer credits due to all the lawsuits. They used to be a brief description of that picture. Okay. Um, and here's how it worked. People would open up to, by the way, the picture caption version went out because people would open up to that article. They'd see the picture. They'd read that caption because that caption was just one sentence long. It wasn't a big commitment. It helped them understand what was happening in the picture better, which drove more people to read the content, which increased the value of the magazine, which reduced the cancellation rate and kept magazines in business at least up until today. We'll see how they do going down the road. So that's a lot of explanation to tell you that this icon serves as the picture. This short description serves as the caption. And like I said, we limit paragraph text to very specific situations on websites. So what would I do if I was you? Well, if you're not offering free shipping, you have to. It's no longer an option. Now, does that mean you have to lose your margin in your product? No, you just add that pricing into the product and offer free shipping. So I do a little shipping truck with free shipping. I do easy returns with a circle with arrows in it. And I do safe and secure checkout or money back guarantee. Those are the big three to making people that aren't familiar with your brand, because we're a boutique brand, feel comfortable buying from you. Okay. Some people say easy returns and money back guarantee. I don't think I want to get into that. To which I'd argue, do you want to sell 2 with 0 returns or 10 with 1 return? If your product's quality, stand behind it. And, this is another thing Amazon's done to the world by making it so easy to return items. Again, people are expecting that be something they're able to do online. If we don't honor it, I'll show you the results of that here in a little bit. Okay. So that's the hero shot. The next thing we've got to do is deliver our features and benefits in a simpler to digest way. And the best way currently, we'll get to that. I'm just trying to find my example I had open. 1 second. Here it is to create a features row where we have the product in the middle, and then we come and hit them with the main features and benefits in an icon and short description way. So we're going to talk about stronger lashes. We're going to talk about the fact that they remain curly. We're going to talk about the 48-hour. We're going to talk about all those features that are exciting and great about your product in a row like this. Following this row, we can have your before and after comparisons because they're really quite compelling. So we have these before and afters, and we'll be good there. From that, I want your to create your purchase row, which is going to look like this with a few changes. Um, we're going to have our headline where it is. We're going to move our 5 stars below the price, but your pricing structure is proper. Um, we can keep these 2 items, but we'd rather them, remember, be icon short descriptions. Add your credibility builder, so free shipping, easy return, satisfaction guaranteed, right across here, and keep your payment options above it. Make your call to action button. We try not to use black and white because they're more design elements. A nice bright blue or burnt orange would be more appropriate. Okay. All those things are part of your product row, and I've got notes of all of that in there for you. From there, after we have our review, our product row, we want our final call to action, which is what we're trying to accomplish here. But it is going to repeat our super headline, our sub headline, our call to action button, and our credibility builders so that it is a little more powerful than what we have going here, along with an image of the product. Okay. We've then got our customer reviews, which are so important. This is social proof. It's why we put testimonials, reviews, 5-star ratings, any social media interactions you have. Um, Gosh, if you would have hired me to do this review 10, 15 years ago, I would have been telling you, don't worry about these things. They're kind of a distraction and people don't pay attention anyway. But that's because your main purchasing audience was an older generation. It was people like me, Generation X and above, who were taught to basically trust in marketing messaging. If it was on TV, on the radio, in a magazine, in a newspaper, we basically believed it. It's why magazines were able to sell so many X-ray glasses to young men back in the day. Call it global, call it naive. It's just how we were raised. That's in stark contrast to the millennial and below generation. Their world's been largely deceptive. Marketing messaging is looked at as exaggeration at best and downright deceit at worst. They have all had the experience of either purchasing themselves or hearing of somebody purchasing something like an ice machine online for $300, let's say, and receiving 3 ice cube trays and a bottle of water, right? It's just a difficult world. In fact, they can't even believe the news. So they look for third party verification or what we now call social proof. Okay. Your reviews, your 5-star ratings, any social media that you could add, all serves as social proof, and it's very important. Okay. And then your footer is correct as is for this type of page. You then asked me to hop into your checkout process, which I did, and make some recommendations there. Now, it's important to understand the reasons people abandon shopping carts. The number one reason is because there's hidden costs. Okay. Um, that's shipping, taxes, any extra fees that we try to hide. A lot of people feel like putting a low price on their product page will encourage people to add the item to the cart, which in some cases it does, but they quickly get turned off when they see those added fees. So be very upfront with your pricing and make sure everything is included in your initial cost. Okay. Um, Never require someone to create an account to check out, allow them to guest check out. Delivery time you only have so much control over, but make it as fast as you can. And then too long or of a complicated of a checkout process. Let's go through yours. Okay. So I'm coming along. I click on this. We'll talk about page speed in a minute because it's an issue. We then hit Shopify's 4-step checkout process. Okay. It's estimated that 1 to 2 in 10, so 10 to 20% of your customers will abandon the cart because of a 4-step checkout process. You need to move to a single page, which would include adding your credit card gathering here and a little checkbox that says my contact information is my shipping. Okay. When they click this button, they should be purchasing. Put any form fields on a colored background, and you'll be good to go. Okay. I don't so much view this as optional as something you have to do in order to um, make this work. Okay. Um, just get back to my notes. I apologize. The other thing, I don't know if you have an abandoned cart software on your site right now. Most abandoned cart softwares, what they do is somebody starts to check out. They then, if they abandon and leave, they send an email out at a predetermined time later saying, "Did you forget something? Come back and save an additional 10% and finish purchasing." The problem is these end up as spam more often than not. We've got to communicate with visitors the way they want to be communicated with. And what do people do today? They text. Okay. So I gave you a link to an option. There's a few out there, but this is one I've seen people have really great success with. That when they start to check out, it actually sends them a text saying, "Did you forget about something?" And then that you can even communicate back and forth with them. So consider moving to something like that. That will greatly improve your cart process. Um, the only other thing you can do with each of the steps is minimize what you're asking for and keep it on a colored background. There's no real good way to get around the need for that single page checkout process. Okay. The next thing I did is I went and I ran a speed optimization on your site, and this is localized to Chicago. Um, not sure exactly what part of the country you are in, but it's a good measuring point. This site grades from A to F, A, B, C, D, E, and F, and we're scoring an E, which is a definite problem. Um, our first contentful paint says it's under half a second, which is great sounding, but look at what you're actually seeing. You don't start to see any real messaging or even the images until 3.4 seconds. Remember that bounce rate, the most common reason people leave your site, happens in the first couple seconds. So in the first couple seconds, that time frame when you're losing most of your traffic, they haven't even seen any of your product. Um, there's a lot that goes into page speed optimization, and I am not a specialist. And a lot of times when I get to this point, people say, "Dave, can you help me do you know, create all of these changes? Can you actually implement them for me?" To which I have to say, sorry, no. One of my strokes took away my fine motor skills, and that's why I'm doing this today, or you would have never been able to hire me. So that being said, I did have a gentleman some time ago come out to me and say, "Dave, I want to learn to implement the things you recommend." Basically, he wants the referral business, which makes sense. So if you do need a contact to help you with these things, everything from speed to the single page checkout, um, to all of the recommendations I made, reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with Rick. Um, but this has to be addressed. I put a link in the document to um, a really good article explaining the importance of speed performance and optimizing for it. So take a look at that and get this fixed. You're never going to be successful. I hate to say it, but it's killing your overall performance, and Google's just going to make it worse on you. Okay. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. And thank you for understanding. It's been a trying few days. I'm back in the saddle mostly for now. This is the last thing I'm doing today, and then I'm going to go take a log nap. Strokes are no joke, but I appreciate you standing by and sticking with me through it. It really does mean a lot. So, if there's something I can do to help you, let me know. I'll be standing by. Chat soon. Goodbye.